All right, man. Should we start? What time is it? Is it time to go? So, what class is this?
Investments.
Investments. Good. I'm in the right place. Are you all in the right place? So I've got to, anybody else had classes in this room? Yeah? How do they take attendance or whatever, you know? Somebody else?
There wasn't attendance in the other one here I had.
Who was that with?
Professor Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Not to call him out, but I don't want to throw him under the bus.
It's too late now, man. Too late now. No. I was supposed to take attendance, you know, because of the situation. So they give me this thing. Yeah, this is like, each of these is a chair, but it doesn't correspond to like where the chairs are. So just bear with me, please. Nick Bates?
Yep.
Is that how I say it, Bates?
Yep.
You are student number 1 forever. And that doesn't mean like you're the best student. Yeah, don't let it go to your head. But, so where are you sitting anyway? Sort of here. Angelo?
Here.
You're student number 2. Matt?
Here.
Student number 3. Max Bree. Ryan Burns. Student number 4. No, you're student number 5. Charlie Di Pasquale. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Student number 6. This doesn't make any sense, you know? I'll tell you what, whoever did this has not had to come here and take attendance. So you're number 6, did I say? I'm gonna put you right there. So wherever you're sitting, that's where you got to sit the rest of the semester. If you don't like it, pick your seat now so that you're where you want to be, right? Hunter. Student number 7. Patrick Enright. Did I have your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Student number 8. Mark.
Yep. I'm switching here because I was sleeping.
Oh man, you're totally confusing me. What are you
Right
doing?
here, yeah. In this one.
Number 9. Damn, this is hard. Dimitri. Number 10. Joe Fisher. Number 11. Jake Jasinski.
Yeah, Professor, I'm here on Zoom.
Wow, how about that? You're number 12, Jake. James Johnson.
Here.
Number 13. William Love.
Here.
Number 14. Madison.
I'm also on Zoom.
You're number 15. Connor.
Here.
Number 16. Matt O'Donnell, no, never mind. Matt? Brendan? Number 18. Joe Capone? Number 19. Marco? Number 20. Nick Slattery? Number 21. Nolan? 22. Sean? 23. Okay. So, this is investments. My name is Mike Gallagher. Most of you I've had, many of you I've had, but I'll introduce myself or something to give a little background of this. I'm not a career academic. I got a BS degree in finance from Fairfield University. I moved to work on Wall Street. And I worked for a long time, 25 years. I went from one of the firms I worked for. Yeah. One of the firms I worked for sent me overseas. I went to London. I spent 11 years in London trading derivatives, financial derivatives. I came back from London in 2000 with my wife, and the markets had gone primarily electronic. So I went and got a master's degree in math, thinking I could write algorithmic programs to trade. While I was doing that, I got accepted into a PhD program at Fordham. And part of my teaching, part of my stipend at Fordham was contingent upon teaching. So I started teaching, and I found I really liked it. So I graduated Fordham just in 2015, and came to Bondo. So it's not a, I'm not your regular kind of teacher, right? I worked for a long time before I went to that agent. So that's me, I guess. I like this course, investments. I like teaching it. It's pretty math heavy. I think I've made a lot of tools available to you to be successful, you know. I put the Zoom links up. So we're on Zoom right now. And I'm recording, right? That's why I haven't said anything bad yet. if for some reason aren't able to come to class, then you should be able to Zoom in. So, but it's kind of hard. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. How to stand here and talk, and at the same time toggle back and forth between the screens and the board and stuff like that. So bear with me. I'm trying to learn what the best way is to make it happen. Yeah. And they almost always say this, but if anybody has suggestions on how to make this a better experience, I'm all for it. I like to think of myself as approachable. Come and tell me this sucks or this works or whatever. And or a better way to make it work. So this is my office is over in Swan. That's my email, my office phone. These are the Zoom links. So they will be the same all the time. Yeah. We'll see how it goes, I record the thing and then I'll pick one of the classes. This class happens at 1 o'clock and then again at 2:30. I will keep them at the same pace, so I don't care which one usually you come to. It's pretty standard syllabus, right? Vision, mission, values. So we have all the Franciscan values that are on the wall over in Swan. Description of the course, program objectives, et cetera, right? It's the same for all your classes, I think. Course objectives. Here's the text. Anybody get the book? What'd you get?
That book.
The actual.
Yeah.
Wow, where'd you get that?
I found it.
You found it?
Yep.
Did it cost you a lot of money? Do you mind me asking?
No, I just rented it. I think it was like 40 something.
Oh, you rented it?
Yep.
The actual book?
Mhm.
The 11th or the 12th?
I can't remember.
Yeah. There's a newer edition. I don't care which edition you get. Yeah, this is the 11th, I think. There's a 12th. As long as you keep up with what's different, And actually, I did go through and make a note one day of what was different. I just have to find it. I'll post it on Moodle if I can find it. So, yeah, that's our book. You need the book, right? Technology, evaluation. So we have class participation, quizzes, homework, exams, and projects. I did stick some quizzes up on Moodle, which is kind of fruitless because that's a whole different story. Moodle and quizzes and exams on Moodle is a whole different ballgame, isn't it? Maybe I'll talk about that in a minute. Homework. The way I roll is that every chapter I put homework problems up, and they're for you to do. And I usually do them in the classroom, and I don't want them from you. But if you don't do them, probably you won't pass the exams, So you should do them. And so homework and exams, 2 exams, and then we have a final. Projects, yeah, there's 3 in the course, I think. And class participation and quizzes, I want you to come to class. Description, for the most part, is a lecture and discussion. Attendance, yeah, participation, courtesy, right, be nice. So here's the weeks and what I expect to cover. By no means is this etched in stone. It will depend on how we get along and what we get through. You know, in other words, like February 22nd, you know, just because it says an exam doesn't mean that that's going to happen then, right? It'll depend on where we are and what we're doing. I'm going to try to adhere to this, but you can see we just go through the book, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For the most part, I follow the book, right? Do the PowerPoints and follow the book. So on one hand, it's probably pretty boring. On another hand, it's easy to know what's expected of you and where we are, what we're going to do, right? So, and then the final, you know, so I don't know what's going to happen. What do you guys think is going to happen? You think we're going to stay on campus and do this for the next 14 weeks?
Yeah, I think we make it.
You think we'll make it?
Yeah, I think if they set us back the way it was, it's just like, it's pretty bad.
All right.
They sent us back and that makes sense.
Where's home? Rochester?
That's right. I mean, I like, home from school.
Right.
Yeah, great.
Well, so normally the way I do an exam is I give half multiple choice questions and then half short answer. Historically, classes get between 70 and 75% on the multiple choice. And then I grade the short answer questions accordingly. Last semester we were online, and I give it an exam on Moodle, and everybody would ace it. I mean, everybody would ace it, you know, like 50 out of, or 25 out of 25 multiple choice, you know. So I then have to make the short answer more rigorous, because not everybody can ace these things, you know. Especially when I would see that they aced all the short multiple choice, and then on the short answer they didn't know what the hell they were talking about, you know. So hopefully we'll be able to take the exams in class, all right? But we'll see what happens. Yeah, and that's what I mean by the quizzes. Like the quizzes are up on Moodle, but everybody aces it. I don't know how that works, but so we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right. So that's enough out of the syllabus, maybe, and the direction of the course. Okay, so the syllabus is up on Moodle. This is our Moodle site for the course. You can see that it's pretty well laid out. Chapter 1, PowerPoint, and then Chapter 1, problems. So this is what I was talking about. I just give you problems. They're posted on Moodle. Most of the time I do them in class, but you should be able to do them. Yeah? So you see Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 2 problems, quiz on Chapters 1 and 2. Oh, I shouldn't show you the hidden from students. I should switch my role to student. Not that I really care, but anyway, Chapter 3. And then there's all these other things. So I've written this course on an MBA level online. So there's a lot of videos and things of me talking about what the material that we're doing in class. The difference between this class and the MBA level class is that goes on further, you know. I cover quite a few more things. But I thought, oh, well, put the videos up. Yeah. Just like I'm recording the Zoom, and I'll post that, you know. And we'll see if people watch them, then I'll keep doing it. If they don't watch them, then I get tired of doing it, you know. But so you see the course is pretty well laid out, and I'm going to show you a couple of these videos. The first one, Chapter 1, edited PowerPoints. So this is me talking over PowerPoint on the most important concepts in Chapter 1. After you watch the video, this one in particular is like 7.5 minutes. I'll, you know, start lecturing on Chapter 1. So the videos are a good way for you to get more access to the material. Yeah? So let's do that. Let's watch this. Hi. This course is about investments. Chapter 1 talks about the investment environment. First, let's define an investment. A current commitment of money or other resources in the expectation of reaping future benefits. In this chapter, we talk about 3 topics which give us some perspective. First, the role of financial assets in the economy, real assets versus financial assets. 2, investment decisions, how people make investment decisions, the risk-return trade-off, efficient pricing in the marketplace, and an overview of the securities markets. And 3, we'll look at the financial crisis, particularly the 2008 financial crisis. First, let's talk about real assets versus financial assets. Real assets are the things that we know contribute to GDP. Financial assets, on the other hand, define the allocation of income or wealth among investors. Let's talk about financial assets. We have 3 broad types of financial assets. Fixed income, typically bonds, pays a steady stream of payments, usually interest payments. Equities, common stock or equity. You're not promised any particular payment with an equity. And derivative securities, options, futures, perhaps a call option on a stock. It may expire worthless. It may be very valuable. Could be often used for hedging. We'll also talk about financial markets in the economy and the role that the financial markets play in our economy. We'll look at 3 things. The informational role. The market represents all available collective opinion about a company. A company which people perceive to be good will command higher prices. The financial markets provide for consumption timing. We earn more and typically spend less when we are young. Then we earn less and typically spend more, relatively, when we are old. Moving consumption across our lives. This is facilitated by the financial markets. Allocation of risk. Firms sell securities, equity to the more risk accepting and bonds to the more risk averse. We're going to talk also about the investment process. Let's define a portfolio, a collection of investment assets. Investment assets can be broken down into stocks, bonds, real estate, commodities, etc. Investors make 2 types of decisions. asset allocation, in other words, what kind of assets they choose to put in their portfolio, and then security selection. Once they choose the kind of assets that they want, they need to choose the particular securities that make up those assets. There are two approaches. A top-down approach. First, you choose your asset allocation. So this would be choosing some portion of your total wealth to go into equities, for example, or bonds, for example, or real estate, that kind of a thing. This is usually dependent on how long until you have to retire. If you have a long time before you retire, you could choose to put your money in more risky assets. If you're going to retire fairly soon, and you might want to choose to put your money into more safe assets. So first you choose asset allocation, again, based on your years to retirement, and then you choose which securities you would put into those assets. This is the top-down approach. The bottom-up approach, you would choose assets which look to create the best return. So in other words, you're stock picking, right? You're not that interested in your asset allocation. You're interested in choosing stocks that are going to have a high return. Somebody may recommend to you, oh, this is a hot stock, and you want to purchase that. So the problem with this is that you may wind up with all of your money in a certain sector. Markets are competitive. This implies that there are two different types of management that you might approach your portfolio management. You can have passive management or active management. Passive management means you simply hold a highly diversified portfolio and you don't attempt to look for the better priced stocks or stocks that are overvalued or undervalued. And you don't attempt to time the market. You just hold a well-diversified portfolio and contrast this to active management, where you're actively researching the market, finding mispriced securities. You're looking to time the market. Maybe you want to get in ahead of some economic news that you feel very sure about. So the problem with this is that if markets were really 100% efficient, there would be no point in doing this active management, looking for mispriced securities. But if we did not do active management and have some research into what is the best investment, the market will stray away from being 100% efficient. Let's last talk about the players in the investment universe. We have demanders of capital. This is firms. We have the suppliers of capital. That would be you and I, households, and of course the government. They usually are borrowers, although they could be lenders. Can be both borrowers or lenders. So firms, demanders of capital, need to invest in new plant and equipment. Households, in other words, you and I, we purchase securities issued by firms. In other words, we create a portfolio and we make investments. And the government, usually, as I said, are borrowers that usually run a deficit. They typically spend more than they collect. So these are the topics we talked about in chapter 1. Okay, so I figured I'd just make it available for you. Yeah, it's like a summary of the important points of chapter 1. I now will go on and talk about the chapter 1 and lecture as if we were in class. We are in class, so this is just like an extra for you, okay? And I'll show you Not all of these are like over PowerPoint. Some of these are me lecturing, right? And that's a long one, 7 minutes or whatever it was. If you look like later on in the course, maybe oh, sorry.
Okay, chapter 6, capital allocation.
Sorry, hang on. We won't watch all of this. This is like a later chapter.
Hey, okay, chapter 6 talks about combining one risky and one risk-free asset. The essence of the chapter was by combining these, we can get a portfolio which provides us with the level of utility that we'd like the most. In other words, combining the risk-free and a risky in whatever proportions makes us the happiest. This is the beginning of trying to construct portfolios. So, in the risky portfolio, plus 1 minus y.
Okay, you get the idea. There's a lot of resources available to you. All right. I made all those videos for the MBA course. And there you have it. Okay, so let's do this, chapter 1. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to jump ship? Feel like there's something I forgot to say, but I can't think of what it is right now. Okay, so chapter 1 is the investment environment. Let's define an investment. Talk about some other things. An investment. investment, a current commitment of money or other resources in the expectation of reaping future benefits. We're going to talk about 3 different topics to help give us perspective on this. One, the role of financial markets in the economy. Real assets and securities. Two, investment decisions, how we make investment decisions. The risk, return, trade-off. Along with efficient pricing an overview of the securities markets. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the financial crisis of 2008. I couldn't hear you.
Are you getting this from the top part of it? Are you guys getting this from the top part of it?
Am I what?
Like, is that stuff on the PowerPoint?
Oh, I don't think so, no.
No.
Why, you wouldn't write it if it was?
No, I was gonna ask to see if you pull that one up for the users.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to see, right? I'm sorry, I need another one of these. I already threw one away. Is that what the problem is? Yeah, the things I write down are typically, I don't write down what's on the slide,
Oh, okay.
you know? I mean, that would make my job really easy. I try to write down something that I've added to the conversation. Although you may beg to differ. But you can't see it anyway, so. Yeah. Real versus financial, risk-return trade-off and efficient pricing, and financial crisis. So this is what I elaborated on. That's all. Real assets have productive. So here's the problem. I keep forgetting that I got to do this. And I don't have to do this, right? I mean, a lot of professors probably aren't doing this. But I'm trying to see if I can. Real assets have productive capacity. What do we know about real assets? What is a real asset versus a financial asset? We want to make this distinction, right?
Would it be something physical?
Say it again.
Something physical?
Physical, like a building or a land or equipment. Yeah, real assets. Land, buildings, machines, intellectual properties. Let's put some notes up here. So, things that contribute to productivity is a real asset. How do we measure productivity?
Factors of production.
Factors of production. All right. Somebody else? How do we measure productivity in the economy? GDP. Real assets. The things we know to contribute to GDP. Contrast this with financial assets. Financial assets like the Dow index, the S&P index. Yeah, it's not something that exists. It's not like something you can have delivered to your house, right? But they do define the allocation of wealth. Or income. Among investors. So let's talk about financial assets. Fixed income securities, equities, derivatives. Fixed incomes provide a fixed stream of income. Debt, as we're commonly known as debt. Equity represents ownership in the company. Yeah? Derivatives, instruments that the prices of which are derived from other instruments. Yeah? I don't know if this is worthwhile doing. Fixed income. A bond. Pays a steady stream of interest. So if you issue a bond, you're effectively borrowing money, right? So typically then, you pay interest usually every 6 months back to the person that loaned you the money, right? Until it comes maturity. So we call that a fixed income. It's usually some percentage or calculated by some specific formula how much you receive in interest each payment period. Equities. So we said equity is some share in the company, right? Your buddy launches a music download company, and he says, hey, do you want to buy in on it, right? You want to share. And you give him $5,000, but you're not promised anything for that. Unlike the bond, where you're promised to get an interest payment every 6 months, right? What's your motivation then for buying an equity? What's your motivation for giving your buddy $5,000 so he can start up a download company? Yeah, in 5 or 10 years, you're a millionaire, right? You sell your share, you're half of the company, whatever. Yeah? You're taking a risk, significant risk. Fixed income, you give your buddy $5,000, he gives you the interest back every 6 months for 5 years or whatever, and then he sells the firm for $10 million, and you got your interest back. Yeah? So much safer. And then, of course, derivatives, my favorite. Because the price of them is derived from something else. We could say options or futures. For example, a call option on a stock. Could be maybe it's worthless. Maybe it's very valuable. Also worth mentioning, often used for hedging. Yeah. In the last class, we had a question. What's hedging? Is that a question in this class too? Anybody want to talk about hedging? Go ahead.
It's like when you buy stock and you think if you think it's going to go down, you issue a stop loss so that it like conserves your loss.
I don't know, what do you mean by a stop loss? An order to sell. Okay. That's a little bit different. You got the right idea though.
Is there a way like to protect yourself against risk? Like let's say I have stock, I buy like put options to hedge if it's not down.
Yeah, so what you may be thinking of is to sell a put, or to buy a put, right? You buy the put, it gives you the option to sell the contract at the strike price of the put. That would be considered hedging, yeah? Or you're a home builder, maybe you're a Toll Brothers or, you know, what are some of these other big home builders, right? And you're going to build 1,000 homes over the next 3 years. You buy the copper that you're going to use in the homes now, so that you know what it's going to cost you over the next number of years, right? So in case, like if you say, oh, we just bought 200 acres of land in Tennessee, and I expect to build 100 houses there. You want to buy the materials like copper that you might need now in case the price goes up. You want to hedge yourself. That's what we do. And there could be a number of other plays when you're talking about hedging, but we'll for sure talk about it more. It's terrible. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Oh, other types of investments. Currency. Okay. 2 more slides. over $1 trillion traded in foreign exchange. How often? Every day. It's huge. Foreign exchange market is huge. Okay? Commodities. Things that have value within intrinsic value in themselves. Corn, wheat, gold, silver, copper, often used to hedge risk. I.e., copper for a home builder. Yeah, for sure. Wheat, like Kellogg's, going to use a lot of wheat to make cereal. They are going to use the markets to hedge the price of wheat in their products so that they know how to budget. Corn, exactly the same thing. Yeah. Used to be like silver was necessary in the film industry, right? Back when we took pictures and had the film developed. So a company that made film like Kodak would be a big player in the silver market. Right now, we just take them with our phone, and that's the end of that. All right. So the role of the financial markets in the economy. Informational role, consumption timing, and allocation of risk. I'm going to put these notes up, and that'll be it, all right? The informational role of the financial markets. The market represents all of the collective opinion about a company. company that people perceive to be good will command a higher price. All available information about a company has got to affect the price, right? Consumption timing. So, when we're young, we earn more. We spend less locally. And I'm not talking young like you guys, I'm talking young like in your 30s and in your 40s. You're making a lot of money. You should be saving for when you're old. Because when you're old, you will earn less and you will spend more. So the financial markets facilitate this, right? Timing our consumption. And the allocation of risk. Firms sell securities. Equities to the more risk accepted. Right? You give your buddy $5,000 to start a download company, that's a big risk. Yeah? Bonds to more risk averse. Right? You're happy to give your buddy $5,000 as long as he guarantees to give you back interest every 6 months and then the $5,000. Right? So you're more risk averse. All right. So I'm going to stop here today. First day of school for me. And we should stop and come back again on Thursday. So if anybody has any ideas or suggestions, let me know. Stay safe.